Hello everyone! Welcome to my educational video channel on teaching literature, specifically poetry. I'm Miss Divina J. Augusto, a secondary school teacher major in English. Today we are going to learn about poetry. Are you gearing up to teach poetry, but just unsure where to start? Have no fear, because today I'm going to share to you the tips and tricks on how to make teaching and learning about poetry more fun and exciting. But before we proceed to the tips, let us define first on what is poetry. Poetry is a type of literature or artistic writing that attempts to stir a reader's imaginations or emotions. Poems tell a story, act out a drama, and communicate ideas and feelings. The way words are used in poem create images in our minds that express how we feel. This time, I know you're excited to know what are the tips in teaching poetry. So therefore, let's get started. Tip number 1. Introduce poetry with poems that your students can relate to. Others would say poetry is boring, therefore, our job is to hook them. Tip number 2. Unlock the unfamiliar words in the poem. A great way to focus students' attention on new or unfamiliar words is an effort to help them incorporate new vocabulary into their personal word bank. It provides students with fun and creative way to integrate required vocabulary skills in individual or group settings. Tip number 3. Provide guide questions. Guide questions allow students to move to higher levels of thinking by providing more open-ended support that calls students' attention to key details without being prescriptive. Tip number 4. Read each poem aloud to students more than once. Reading a poem second time could help students start to listen for the important components, and they'll discover things not seen before. Tip number 5. Learn about the poet prior to reading poetry. Understanding the time period the poem was written and the background of the poet is essential to drawing conclusions about the poem's meaning. Tip number 6. Spend time analyzing poetry to really understand the author's purpose. The fun part of analyzing poetry is figuring out what the poet is trying to say. This is where the use of figurative language comes in. Understanding these poetic devices will help unlock the meaning hidden within some poems and allow for deeper critical thinking. Tip number 7. Get excited when you teach poetry. Let loose. When you really enjoy reading and responding to poetry, your students will pick up on your excitement. Tip number 8. Encourage students to write their own poetry and share it. To solidify students' love for poetry, let them write and show them off. It could be by pairs, or let them read aloud their poems, or you can display written works on the wall. What's up? How do you find the tips? Are those helpful to you? Well, the best way to enjoy poetry is to read different types and try to make your own. There are different kinds of poems, of which I'm sure you will find one that is right for you. So get busy! Start reading some poems and try your hand at writing a poem yourself. You never know, you might be a poet and don't know it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and please don't forget to comment below. Have a great day!